Hi again, everyone. I'm here to just go over the second part of the Business Adaptation and Continuity Survey with the 7 remaining sectors that were identified. So we can just go through these first few slides quickly. The margin of error is 6.27% to allow us to differentiate between different answers and see the strength of a particular answer. We need to increase the county respondents, and we've collected some personal data which has been voluntarily provided by the respondent to follow up for communication segmentation to help deal with certain sectors. Today we'll be looking at the lower 7 sectors that were identified in this, but you'll see a link on the right if you wish to look at the first 6 sectors that we identified. So looking at this chart, we can see that these remaining 7 sectors either were able to adjust their business offerings somewhat in blue and not able to adjust their business offerings. So if we look at the transportation and warehousing sector, we can see that there was 1/3 who have been able to somewhat adjust their business offerings, and they identified that they are now doing pickup and drop off orders, whereas the remaining who did not comment said that they have not, which could mean that they don't need to or they simply have not been able to. For agriculture, there were no comments, but they indicated that they were somewhat able to adjust their business offerings. Whereas a sector like finance and insurance that indicated, or over half indicated that yes, they were able to adjust their business offerings, and they are doing this by working from home and providing reduced offerings to adjust to the business climate. And then you can see there's the real estate and rental leasing that has a fair mix, where there's half who could or somewhat adjust their offerings and the other half can't. The people who could not adjust their business offerings talked about that they're being restricted to access homes at this time. And the educational sector, services sector, those who were not able to adjust their business offerings talked about cancellations and their inability to go virtual. So in looking at these answers, we can see that perhaps there are sectors that may need some more information on how they can adjust their business offerings, in basically thinking that they cannot. Just something to flag for future consideration. We also asked, are they able to retool their operations? So you'll see there was 3 sectors that were not able to comment at all, but indicated that they aren't able to retool their operations, meaning that it's just not an opportunity for them to do it in this time because it's either too expensive or they just can't. Whereas you can see that the real estate sector indicated that they have been, but there was no comments. The healthcare and social assistance sector, there were some who indicated that they could somewhat, and they mentioned that they are now stepping up their production in another area. And then those who were not able to retool just said they are simply unable to produce. The educational services discussed how, for those who cannot retool, indicated that simply no one is investing in educational services at this time. We asked where do they supply their services. So on the left I have included the full description because the chart cut it off a bit just for your reference. And these charts are the cumulative sum in each sector, so healthcare and social assistance, had uh, the largest respondents of this seven lower end of the sectors that were identified in the whole survey. And in the healthcare and social assistance sector, the majority provide local, whereas they also provide provincially and nationally and internationally that they identified. Whereas finance and insurance only indicated a local and provincial service area. Wholesale trade, not including international, but a fair mix of local, provincial, and national. Um, and even our transportation indicating either a local or international. So this chart can tell us a number of things. One, that we have a fairly robust and diverse supply chain of our different sectors, but also where some sectors really rely on for trade. So those who are internationally providing, we can look at supporting those individuals more, considering there's border closures and so on. In terms of short-term plans for coping with restrictions, this will give you some insight on the different plans and ongoing short-term plans for these particular sectors. So you can see the healthcare and social services, social assistance sector. There was a large group focusing on client retention. So this is a big uh, short-term plan, as well as closing doors temporarily, negotiating operational costs, and laying off workers. Now, these are healthcare and social assistance programs outside of the healthcare system. So these are businesses that are in, included in your benefits plans to as an alternative healthcare service. And you can look at the other sectors like finance and insurance is focusing largely on client retention as well as paying workers, and an other area which we'll be able to flesh out a little bit more later on. And then you can see wholesale trade is covering quite a bit of the responses. At any time, you can pause to further look at some of these results. We also asked if they had to lay off employees, how many. So you can see in the wholesale trade sector, 100% of respondents indicated less than 5, whereas the healthcare and social assistance indicated upwards of 11 to 29. 5 to 10 made up 33% of the respondents. But we do have the educational services, 50 to 99 employees had to be laid off. So what we can do with the communication segmentation is target this particular group to start and assess and to provide assistance directly in order to overcome this challenge or make sure that they are on the right track. At any time, if you require a particular group, that can be provided through segmentation. In terms of priorities for financial assistance, some sectors have indicated very particular issues and priorities for financial assistance. So agriculture indicating purchasing new inventory as one option. Wholesale trade focusing on rental payments, staffing, loan servicing, and client retention exclusively as priorities for financial assistance. And then finance and insurance, property taxes, and staffing as making up half or over half of the priorities for financial assistance and so on. Here we have marketing in educational services as a big part of what educational services see as a priority for financial assistance. And if they're seeking financial assistance, they indicated also their timeline. So here we have some groups, less than 14 days, who are a larger priority area. So with segmentation, we can provide the specific companies that need some support seeking financial assistance, and we can even cross-tabulate that against their particular priorities. So this last chart is very specific to cross-tabulating the entire data set of where people are located with the particular sector that they're working in. Is well distributed among the city of Peterborough. Township of Asphodel Norwood shows a high level, exclusively professional, scientific, and technical services. That could be because there is only 1 or 2 respondents. Same goes with Township of North Kawartha, that there was an accommodation and food services. But if you look at the Township of Selwyn, that made up 10% of the respondents, you can see that there's a good mix of these of different sectors, so manufacturing, real estate, and rental and leasing, and so on. So this will give you a sense of the entire group as well as sectors, and lead us back to part 1. If you want to learn more, you'll see the video and also the initial survey. Take care, be healthy. Please get in touch if you have any questions.